All right, welcome Jamie, OMN NBA podcast. NBA draft night happened. What I say yesterday, dawn depends on where you are actually. And bro, Banchero is number one draft pick.
With the first pick in the 2022 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Paolo Banchero from Duke University.
Expectations. Were you actually expecting him to be number one?
I was, but a few days or hours to the draft, I think all the talk shifted to Jabari Smith
Yeah.
becoming the number one pick. I don't know where that came from, but eventually, I think it became a kind of a split decision between the Magic at some point. Would a few minutes to the draft that they were still deciding whether to pick Banchero or to pick Jabari Smith, and I think eventually they decided to go with Banchero.
Looking at Banchero and looking at the Orlando Magic organization as a team as well, does he fit in the roster perfectly, or he's just someone that's going to get like a rookie who's going to come in and just play his part, or he's going to be an integral part of the organization? Because Cole Anthony is doing a great job with the team, but he needs help. So is Banchero and Cole Anthony going to be a great backup duo?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think he would fit. Well, on paper he's supposed to fit, but you don't know what happens in an organization. You've seen these things happen so many times where somebody lands in a good player lands in a bad organization, and everything goes downhill from there. But if you see how the Magic has been rebuilding, they started picking guards. So they picked Cole Anthony, they picked Jalen Suggs last year, and now they picked um, um, Banchero, who's a forward. So it's just like they put him from the ground up, and I think to do great. He did well in college. He did well for Duke, and I think he'll do well for the Magic too.
Okay. Now, any expectations for him coming into the NBA? Do you see him becoming the number one pick and becoming rookie of the year, or is just gonna be, somebody else?
Well, that's too early to call. But I like Jabari Smith. I don't know why, but I'll tell you why later on. But I like Jabari Smith.
Okay. Let's move on to the guy that had the hype of the most talked about, in all of the draft class, Chet Holmgren. Now, there was conversation about his physique and body type. First of all, let's start with that. I mean, he's the number two pick, which, we'll come to that. But let's talk about his body type first. Is he ready for the NBA?
He should be. I mean, it's just his first year, right? And then if you look at his skill set, he has so many weapons in his tool bag, right? Look at someone who can run the floor. He's very athletic for his size, a 7 footer. He's just not as big as he's supposed to be, but he's just coming in. If you look at him play, you can see so many different players in him. You can see him become Giannis when he gets a ball in transition. You can see him become KD when he gets that pull up shot, maybe in transition, running to the 3 point line. He can shoot, he shoots 39% from the three.
Yeah.
He's a very good shooter, right? So I think he just needs to put on some muscle. It's been same with so many players, notably Giannis. When Giannis was coming to the league, he wasn't that bulky. It took him a while to put on some muscle. If he's able to, he'd be great. But just look at our own Kevin Durant. They call him the Screen Reaper for a reason, right? He hasn't put on so much, and it was the same concern for KD when he was coming into the league, where people were talking about his body and how slim he was and everything. Eventually, he'll put on some muscle, and he shouldn't be that big. He shouldn't grow into a Shaq or anybody, but he'll be fine. Once he gets into the gym and then put some muscles, he should be fine.
Now, were you expecting him to be number one? Because I think coming into the draft mock and things like that, there were conversations about him being the perfect pick for number one. And then we come into the league, the draft night, and then Paolo just overtakes him as number one. Were you expecting him to be number one?
Well, I wasn't because you and I were talking about this last night during the draft about the drafting based on need, right?
Yeah.
And I think at this point that's what the OKC needed, because they had Josh Giddey, they had people already. in the guard position, and so I think they needed someone in the wing position like a four or five, and I think they decided to go with him. So I just expected him to be number two once OKC got a pick.
Okay, again, you see a perfect fit for the team because when you look at OKC, they have SGA, amazing guard. They have
Yeah,
Josh Giddey, a great shooter as well.
yeah.
And now they have Chet, perfect fit.
Well, he should fit. Yeah, I mean, you can't. He hasn't even signed his contract yet, so it's very difficult to say. Oh, yes, 100% he will, because being a fit it's not only about your talent, right? It's about all other factors like your attitude, your work ethic. And I'm not doubting the work ethic of any of these guys. I mean, you can't get here if you're lazy, right? So I expect him to fit, but he's going into an organization. He's going to go into a team with different players, with different coaching staff, training, training. I don't know how to call it, training coaches or whatever. He's
Yeah.
going to work with just different people at different levels in the organization. So him being a fit, we would live to see. But I hope he does. He's a good guy. He'll be good for us.
Okay. Talking about him once again, you said the likes of Giannis came into the league looking like him. Are we going to see a Giannis esque type of him going forward?
But we don't have to see a Giannis. We are just going to see a Chet. Like he's going to be. I hope he becomes the best version of himself. If you can look up to somebody, but if you try to be somebody, you lose your own identity, and then it becomes a problem for you. But again, look at his skill set with what he can do. He can be very, very aggressive. If you put some more weight, he becomes very, 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 very dominant for his size.
All right. Let's talk about your guy, Jabari Smith Jr., going into Houston. And then Houston also sent one of their best players to what's the organization's name again? What's the guy's name? How do you call him?
Wood.
Wood. Yeah, sent Christian Wood out, and then they are coming in with Jabari Smith Jr.
Yeah. So again, if you look at the draft, what they've done so far. So they got Kevin Porter from Cleveland via trade.
Yeah.
They drafted Jalen Green last year.
Yeah.
So they have their cornerstone backcourt. So now it's not time to fill out the front court. And so, I mean, and he for so I'm going to tell you why I like Jabari Smith, right? The guy, when you watch him play, you see so much Kobe in him. Right now, you say you see Jason Tatum, right? Because Jason Tatum is just trying to copy Kobe, like, bar for bar, like Soldier Boy said. But if you see him, like, he likes taking those foul shots, like those, post up, turn around, fade away jumpers. He's good. He's good, and he's a very good shooter too. I think people were talking about him being the best shooter in the draft. I wouldn't say he's the best. I haven't seen everybody. I haven't followed all the players who are coming to the draft, and then sometimes nobody trusts himself to be the best shooter in the world when he comes into the league. But for now, he's one of the best shooters you can find in the draft. So I think I like him, and I like how he's aggressive. He can go into the paint. He can go to the rim aggressively and draw fouls here and there. He can shoot the mid range. He can shoot the three. I like him. I like him.
Let's talk about the champions for now. They drafted Patrick Baldwin Jr. And looking at how stacked the team is with even core players, and even there's conversation about how to give extensions to other players. Does Patrick Baldwin fit in, or we're going to see him just get very, very minimal roles like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Kendrick Witherspoon, and the rest of the players?
Well, yeah, that's one of the issues with coming into a bigger team, right? No matter how good you are, if you're not coming into a role where you be, consistently playing, it becomes a little bit of an issue for you because, come on, this is full of ego play, right? So if you come in and you feel so good about yourself being drafted, and then you come in and then you're not getting to play, it becomes some way for you because, mind you get to learn when you play, and I'll probably expect him to be with Santa Cruz a little bit because even Kuminga and the rest are still on the bench. They haven't really getting some playing time. And then depending on how the offseason shakes off, I'm pretty sure they're going to bring most of the core back, at least if not all, almost everybody is going to come back. So definitely they'll send him to Santa Cruz to play a little bit and develop over there. But I expect him to be part of the Warriors going forward eventually.
Okay. All right. Away from the draft right now, and let's talk about some of the trades that happened. Most popular trade that happened was Kemba Walker moving away from the New York Knicks to the Detroit Pistons. Were you surprised? Because I was actually.
Well, I could say yeah. I mean, I was expecting the Knicks to move on from Kemba in the offseason. I wasn't expecting it to be on draft night, but I knew he was going to, either waived or traded or something because I mean he fell out of the rotation for the Knicks, sometime last season. It wasn't a very good season for him with the Knicks, and so moving him was just like a salary dump because they wanted to pay some salary cap space to get Jalen Brunson um, off from um, from Dallas, in the offseason as reported by ESPN. And so it was just like a salary down because they didn't really need him anymore. Kemba is not the same player he used to be. And then even with the Detroit Pistons, there's been talks of negotiating a buyout for him to become a free agent. So it was obvious he wasn't going to play a single minute for Detroit,
Now,
given the players they have right now in their backcourt.
now going into Detroit, which is still in rebuilding mode with Kate Cunningham, Isaac Stewart, and the likes. Is he going to play much and help the team rebuild?
No, he's going to get a buyout. That's what they are trying to agree on. So once he gets a buyout, he becomes a free agent, so he doesn't have to play for Detroit. So he might end up on a different team. So he might be probably thinking about what team would like him right now. I don't know which team would like him. Maybe the Lakers would, because they can just pay him minimum contract and he can be on the bench and give him some production. I don't know what happens to him or what happens to our brother Kyrie.
Speaking of Lakers and Kyrie and the strong interest of Kyrie reuniting with LeBron.
So it's a little complicated, right? And everything is complicated when it comes to Kyrie because he has his $37 million contract that he's supposed to opt in if he wants to, yeah. And then he wants a longer term contract because the Nets have issues with his availability and his reliability and everything. And so if he decides to opt out and become a free agent, there isn't much on the market for him, especially with the contending teams, unless he wants to go to the Nets or the Orlando Magic. And I don't think even a team that's rebuilding would like to splash 250 million on Kyrie, right? And then the only way the Lakers have for him is to give him like a mid-level taxpayer exception. That's like $6 million. And everybody will say, what the hell? Like Kyrie's not going to take that because he's looking for. But this is Kyrie. The guy is so unpredictable. And he probably might think that's a good, reason to join the Lakers, just, reunite with LeBron. I don't know how well that would work for them, but I don't see. Well, you can't say never say never, right? Because this is the league. The surprises keep happening every year. But I for Kyrie, I don't know. I don't know where he's going. I don't even think Kyrie knows where he wants to land right now because there's so many options. There's so many things around that try to get him, and I think he thinks he has that leverage working for free from the Nets, and then he knows once he leaves, his buddy Keviin is also leaving. It's just a whole complicated situation with Kyrie, but I don't know what happens next.
Now, it's been reported again that Keviin hasn't asked to be traded from the team. I mean, initially, we had the reports that he asked him to be traded away from the team, considering the Kyrie situation. But again, it's been reported that he's not intending to leave the Brooklyn Nets. Should Kyrie leave, hypothetically speaking, should Kyrie leave and KD carries the Brooklyn team, are we seeing a Brooklyn-led team to a championship by Kevin Durant?
I don't see it. Who is it going? Because to win a championship, you need at least two superstars on your team.
I mean, there's Ben Simmons.
But you haven't seen Ben Simmons play. You haven't seen Ben Simmons play in over a year. And the last time you saw him play, it was atrocious. right? Nobody could sit there watch him play. He just couldn't play to save his life. And coming off of like a very bad back injury, having surgery and
Yeah.
stuff like that, you can never know what to expect from a player who's coming off an injury unless you are Kevin Durant. So having just KD on your team, and so it's just gonna be like what boys is it? Just KD and vibes, right? Nothing else because
Just kidding.
already there isn't much on the team, even with Kyrie and then KD and Ben. There wasn't much. Well, Ben didn't play last year, but there wasn't much on the team, and Boston was able to just right past them, sweeping them in the first round. So KD is KD. KD might go off and average 30 a night, but the team still can't get anywhere because you need. And right now, I'll tell you, with what the Celtics did to KD, it has given so many teams the playbook on how to play KD going forward, especially in the playoffs. Because right now, everybody will be watching the tape from that series on how to defend KD. I'm not saying you can completely shut him down, but you'd find out ways to contain him. Because I mean, nobody really stops KD, right? Once he gets into his easy spot, and not every team can defend like Boston, but it gives them an idea of how to go around playing with KD. So it's not going to be that easy. Probably at, at best maybe a second round exit in the playoffs. I don't think they can go further than that.
Okay. Also, another question is should KD initially try to opt out of the Brooklyn Nets team? Where do we end up seeing Kevin Durant play? I mean, sorry, Kevin Durant. Sorry, where do we see Kevin Durant opting out and playing for the next team? Because mind you, there's a lot of people saying he can't go back to the Golden State, and
Yeah.
there's no. Personally, I don't see any other suitable teams aside Brooklyn right now.
Mhm.
So
Well, the contenders, it would take the contenders shredding their team to get him,
yeah,
and that means taking away some of their core pieces. I mean, it's KD, right? There's so many that would like to do it. If I mean, if there's a chance, Miami will do it because he's KD, right?
yes.
I'm sure even Boston would do it. Trust me, Boston will put Jalen Brown and a few other pieces on the table to get KD because it's KD and you're trying to win. I mean, imagine KD and Jason Tatum on the same team. How are you going to stop these two?
So if you were the GM of Celtics right now, you would actually package Brown and a couple of guys to go for KD.
Well, basketball wise, it would make sense. It would make sense because you are trying to win. That's the whole point of being in the league. You are trying to win, and he has decided to come to you. And there's one thing about KD: you can never question his commitment or his loyalty. Once he says he's with you, he's with you. He's going to give you everything he has, right? So once you have KD, you are there. But I don't know if the Celtics would like to do it, even though they know they are, because mind you, they were just 2 games away from becoming NBA champions,
Exactly.
right? And so they have what it takes to win a championship. And so I it's the NBA, it's business, right? So whatever they can do to win, I'm sure they'll do it.
There's people saying the perfect fit for him should be the Clippers. What do you think about that?
The Clippers,
Yes.
well, that would also mean pairing up the Clippers team too, because you have Kawhi and then
Paul
Paul
George.
George,
Yeah.
locked into the big contracts. So you definitely have to move one of them. Else, that means we are shaving off all the fringes. We are taking away all the role players. And definitely, Brooklyn would like to take some big time player in return. They wouldn't like to take a bunch of role players and then draft picks just to move on. They'll definitely need like a big core piece on the team. And so it wouldn't be that easy for him to. I mean, he'll definitely get a trade. Definitely find a team to trade for him. But as to whether it would be a fit for him, we'll live to see.
Hmm. We live to see indeed. Looking forward to summer league to see how best we can see of this new draft class. So far, let me ask you. So far, which has been your favorite draft class
In the last few years,
in the last few years? Yes.
I would say 2000 Tatum draft class.
Oh, okay. The
Yeah, I
team.
think I love that class. I mean, take away faults, and then um, Lonzo was number two, right?
Yeah.
And then Tatum number three, and then Josh Jackson was four.
And number one was Michael Fox. Lonzo was number two. Tatum was number three. Josh Jackson was number four.
Yeah.
Aaron Fox 5, and then Jonathan Isaac 6.
Oh, Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think I love maybe because I love Tatum, but I love that class. And the thing is, the league is becoming so full of talent every year. So you can run through all the draft classes and be like, I love this class, or I love that class too. Because if you go back, even your own guy, RJ Barrett, right? If you look at that class like Zion, Ja,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's sometimes very, very difficult to choose. But I mean, one of the best draft classes to remain the 2003 draft class. Those guys are still, one of the best that ever happened. I think I love that draft class. But in recent times, I think I love the 2018 draft. That's 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed was there were a lot of foreign nationalities in this 2022 NBA draft, especially Canadians. And we just saw Andrew Wiggins, a Canadian native, become an NBA champion. Are we going to see Canada dominance in the NBA moving forward?
You and I were talking about this last night.
Yes.
It's becoming an international thing, right? So the league is just trying to pull in all the talents they can get from anywhere, just like soccer has done all over the world.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to expand and then get the best that you can. And so not necessarily just Canada. I mean, Canada is the closest, so they should be able to get in much better than other countries. But if you look at what the league has done overseas and how they've been scouting, you should know the league is expanding and the league is getting bigger and better every year.
Now, speaking about foreign nationalities, I always cry about this because there's limited African players in the league. What can we do moving forward to change this, especially Ghana?
Well, the nature of Ghana, it takes a lot of investment, right? Because you look at how the league goes on to scout the Europeans.
Yes.
And you go to Europe and Europe is for soccer, right? But then their basketball teams are also very good. They have very good development. They have very good teams. I mean, Luka has been playing in the pros. He was playing in the pros since he was like 14 or 16 or something before he got drafted. So he had that development. But after high school, even in high school, how good is it? After strike ball, you don't see nothing else. Yeah. I haven't seen a proper, standard NBA court in the whole country. The one in Bukom Arena is not even a standard court, right?
It's built for
so, so you can't really start off like that. You have to start building. You have to start developing. Put some money into it, and then from there, because if you look at Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam, and all these guys, they have to go abroad at some point in their early development stages to get developed. Right? Siakam has to come to high school here. Joel Embiid has to come to college here. Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka he's even more athletic to Spain than he is with Congo. You get it? So he is more like an European player. So it's up on us to develop our own ways, and the league is also trying their best to expand on the continent. They have the Basketball Africa League right now that goes on every year. They're trying to get their best, but there's so much work to be done if you want more players to represent us.
Okay, all right, yo, it's been a pleasure talking to you as always, Jamie. Talk about the NBA draft class. Your guy Kyrie. Hopefully the situation ends very soon so we can see what's gonna happen. And also,
well, you never know. Kyrie.
Mike, if you were the GM of Brooklyn Nets, how would you solve this Kyrie situation?
I'll just let him know. We are not questioning. We are not questioning your talent. We are not questioning your ability to play. We just want it to be available. So I said it before. I said if Kyrie wants them to pay him that money, opting right now, play the whole season, play 60, 65 games, show up in the playoffs, because whether you win or not, you can show them that, hey, I can do this. Just give me the money. But with his current situation and how he's been over the past 2 years, 3 years, I don't think it's something. And they they are going to pay him the big money, but it's not long term. They want to do maybe 2 years,
Yes.
same amount of money. So instead of paying him 50 million a year for 5 years, they are saying no, you pay 50 million a year for 2 years. So opting into this one and then let's extend you. That's going to be 136 million for the next 3 years. It's not bad, but I mean, he's also a businessman. He wants the best he
Best
can
for him.
get,
Yeah.
and so he's trying to fight for himself. But if I'm the Nets, I'm just pushing him to maybe opting. But at the moment, it looks like the relationship is becoming strained every single day.
Yeah.
So last night there was reports of him opting in and then requesting a trade. That's so normal of Kyrie to do. So at this point, we don't know what happens with Kyrie.
Anyways, we just hope for the best for him as a player and the Brooklyn Nets organization. So, Salem is the OMNNB podcast. Of course, subscribe, like, and share with everybody so we can enjoy more of this good content. Yo, Jamie, it's been a pleasure talking to you all the way in New York City. Your team, wait, you guys didn't draft, right?
We drafted in the second round. We drafted a guy called J.D. Davidson of University of Alabama. He's a guard. He's good. He's good. I mean, I tweeted yesterday. I think Smart and Rob Williams would love him because he's so aggressive and he throws out very good love. Rob Williams would love him, and if he defends too, so Smart would love him.
Okay, all right. So we'll be back with more NBA content. Just subscribe, like, and share. As always, Jamie, we thank you for joining us always, bro.
Thank you, bro.